Okie dokie, good morning. We are back making a video today about the sink base in our kitchen that we've been working on. As you can see, let me take you in close here. We cut out the base of the cabinet because it was all rotted and kind of fallen in, but we didn't cut out the entire thing because we need to keep it because we can't really replace just one cabinet because these cabinets are all one piece. As you can see, usually there's like a line between the cabinets. These are all one piece cabinets because that's the way they did it back in the 90s. But anywho, so we kept the base the way it is and cut it out. This is the support for this side of the cabinet. So we're gonna have to recreate some of the support, maybe over here and over here, which I'm probably gonna use 2x6 to do, and I'll show you how to cut them down and what I'm gonna do. I'm also gonna modify it a little bit. So these valves used to be just down about this tall right here, but that was way too low. I like them to be at least kind of midway up in the cabinet. And so we extended those, put on some, that one is not so pretty, so don't look at that one. But put on the little couplers there and put it up. Got a little solder happy on that one. But anyways, got them all nice and even, and they're nice and sealed with new quarter turn valves. So now we can hook up our new sink hoses, which are up there, right here. So anyway, we're gonna put a piece of plywood in here. So we need to cut that out, but then also we need to do those 2x6s. And I'm gonna create a little bit of a slant in here. Not much, because we want to be able to stick stuff in here. But the reason I'm gonna put a slant on this cupboard is because if there's any water dripping from the sink, it will run out the front and it'll be a puddle right here, and so you'll be able to see it. So we'll cut this piece of plywood and we'll paint it, and we'll seal the edges with some caulking. That way the water can't go anywhere else, and then put it all together. So let's go cut these boards. I'll probably cut them and then show you what I've done. But anyways, let's go do that and then cut that and put it all together. So here we go. Stop and explain what we've got going on here. So we've got one on the side, on this side, one on that side. I'm gonna go back and make another one for the middle just because why not have extra support. This is notched to where it goes underneath of this cabinet here. And so that will support there. And as you can see, it's cut at a slight angle. It's only a 1/4 inch. It looks dramatic because the floor is humped there, and then back here, the cabinet goes down, but it'll be exactly the same as this side. And it might look weird now, but once the plywood's on it, you won't even notice, and it's gonna be quite nice. And so we'll put one in the middle as well, just for extra support, and then we'll cut the plywood for the top. And I'm still debating on whether or not I wanna crawl under the house to turn the water off, just to remove those so I can slide the plywood down, or if I'm gonna notch around it. So you'll see which I pick when I get there. But both of those are options. You can notch around those and slide it in, or you can cut it just a hole and slide it down from the pipe if you've got the option. I think I've got enough room there to do it. It's just a little more tricky, so probably end up doing that, but we'll see. So let's cut another one of those and put it in the middle, and then we'll measure for the plywood. We've got the holes drilled in that piece of plywood, as you just saw. Now I have to go downstairs and turn the water valve off so I can take these 2/4 turn valves off. That way I can slide the new plywood piece on. And just in case it wasn't super clear on why I drilled holes in this or how I did it, basically those holes are just big enough for those pipes to come through. And I always measure from one side, so from here over to this pipe, and make that measurement. So from this line to here, make that line. And the same to the second pipe, from there to there, so line. And then I measure from the back of the cabinet. Thankfully, these are close to the same, so I can make them the same because they move a little bit. So from the back to there, and so from the back to there, and then I make a little cross, and then I take my hole saw or my paddle bit there, and I drill the holes. That way, when I take those valves off, I can slide it down those pipes, and it should fit nice and tight. So let's go downstairs and turn that water valve off, shall we? Problem is that the valve is down underneath the house. Yuck. It's a little short, but not too bad. I've been worse. The funny thing is that my battery charger for my drills and stuff is at work. And so the only one I have is the table saw battery, and it's ginormous. But we'll hop down in here and take my ginormous battery light that I've been using for the drill and for the lights and for the saw, and take it over yonder and turn the water thing off. Now for future projects, I need to put this insulation back up there. Obviously there's some missing right there, probably because it got heavy from moisture and fell down. We'll do that later. And then we'll come down here, and also this main valve is leaking, so as I crawl over here. Yeah. Try not to grunt very much here. Running my head into the insulation, trying to care of my battery. Okay. Well, here's the valve. Drip, drip, drip. We'll come back through and we'll cut here and put a new one in. But that project, it's not as important as having a kitchen sink in this apartment. So turn that off. And then crawl my way back out. Put that piece of plywood in. And come back down here and turn back on. So let's go put a piece of plywood in. Ah. So the cool thing about these quarter turn valves is that these are shark bite fittings, and you can pop them on and off and not have to worry about soldering. They have little tools, but this little cap will do the same thing. So put it down here and then kind of squeeze up on both, and we'll push the seal back in. Like that. And then this one. Like that. We'll put the plywood on. That one's in. Just like that, we got a new base for our cabinet. We'll caulk around these holes. There's no need to, but we're gonna caulk around those. We'll do a bead of caulk around the perimeter here, and we'll show you how to finish it off too. So taking a kind of a little break in between turning the water back on, crawling underneath the house again. Check out what's going on over here. A little snack in the work. Got some pretzels and cheese. Wife kind of wants them, so I'm gonna get one too. So that's pretty happy. So next, we're gonna nail off this thing. We're gonna use some little finish nails because I don't have my air compressor and nailer here, so we're gonna use little hand nails. Not a big deal. Take those and we'll pound them into those little strips there just to hold it down. Not super important, but make sure it doesn't move on us. And then we'll come back through and caulk it and paint it. And then on the nose here, we're going to stick a piece of quarter round to kind of make a nice transition piece. But I'm not gonna put that on until I do the quarter round for everywhere else. And so that'll come in the future. So it'll look better than just a square edge. But doesn't that look better already? Very nice. So we got electrical plug down there for the dishwasher, just in case you're wondering what that electrical plug's for. But anywho, let's eat our pretzels. Okay, we've got the caulking gun right here. And some old construction adhesive from the last project. So we're gonna take some new, I say new, it's been in the box for a while, so we'll see how good it is, but some new all-purpose acrylic latex caulking plus silicone. And then we're gonna use this to cut the nose off of it, just in case you haven't seen that trick before. And then we're gonna poke a hole in the tube with the added little poker. stick it in and charge the tube. Coming up there. So anyways, now we can caulk down here. So while we're waiting on that sink, while we're waiting on the caulking to dry, we're gonna work on the sink. And the easiest way to work on the sink is upside down, because laying down inside the cupboard, looking up at the sink is not the easiest. So if you have the chance, while you have the sink out, flip the sink upside down, and when you stick on your hoses, you can do all of this tight space work up here where the space is not so tight. So these ones are a bit long, but they're the ones I have. So we're gonna put them on and maybe get new ones later, maybe not. It's not a big deal. It's just a little extra hose down there that doesn't need to be down there. So, thread it on by hand. Now, you'll see me, I'm not putting Teflon around the threads here, and that's because you're not supposed to. You know, the previous person who did this sink does have Teflon on here that I'm trying to take off. It doesn't need it and shouldn't have it actually, because inside of here is a rubber grommet. And if that rubber grommet isn't compressed onto this seal right here, you're gonna have a leak. And that no matter how much Teflon you stick on there, you're not going to stop that leak, because it's going to leak around the top here, because this needs to screw down nice and tight to the actual top of the threads there, squishing that rubber together. So do not put Teflon on those. It does not need it, nor should it have it. So also you can use more tools than just blue-handled pliers to put these on, but those are the tools I have. I don't have my crescent wrenches and stuff, so we'll use these pliers and tighten it, making sure not to twist the copper pipe that I'm cutting into. So if this starts twisting, then I'll need to go stop and find another pair. That way I can tighten it without twisting my copper pipe into a little pretzel up like we just ate. So do that, and I'll do that to the next one, and we'll flip this over and tie it in, and we'll work on the drains. And once the caulking is dry, then we can paint all of that white, which, cool fact, the wall color, which is I think Falling Snow is what it's called, is the same color that we painted the cabinets and the trim. So even though it looks all one color, it looks great. Looks really good actually. So I don't have to worry about taping anything off when I paint the walls in here, paint the floor of the cabinet. This is going to be all Falling Snow. So let's get these tightened down, flip the sink over, start working on drains, and then we'll paint that once it's dry. The caulking should only take like an hour or so. So we'll paint it then. So let's do this.
Kitchen sink, by the way.
No problemo.
Does it feel nice to just be at home today?
It does.
It was nice to have you here.
It was nice to be here.
Because we haven't really been together.
On the inside of the cabinet, back down here on the bottom, the one that goes to the left side of the faucet is always the hot. Well, usually the hot. We're going to pretend it's a hot until it's not. But again, these don't need Teflon either. These got a little rubber seal on the inside, so no need to put any tape on those. And if someone tells you so, tell them to watch this video, because Ezra needs the views. So anyways, that one on there, hand tight, and then we'll do the cold side. Now, once we get the hot water heater hooked up, there's a little T that goes on top of this, on top of the hot side, I should say. And it will split, goes up one direction, you can put this on it, and then it goes out the other direction. And you can stick the hose that comes from the hot water heater, which is identical to these basically, just a little bit longer. And it'll run through the hole down there. We can see the little light coming through. Come up through on the hot and attach. So all you gotta do now is make these little coils, because they're a little long, make them neat up here. Hold on to this, take your blue headed pliers and tighten it down. You don't have to do super tight. You can take you can also take a wrench and do this, or a pair of channel lock pliers like these, or crescent wrench, whatever you have handy. Not super big deal. The only reason you wouldn't want to use these is if you were doing something where you didn't want it to be marked up, because they got the teeth on it. Sometimes they'll leave little bite marks, especially if you're not holding it tight. And then also, maybe too much information, but these pliers are meant to go a certain direction, and if you have them backwards, they'll tend to slip a lot. So hello from the future. I am back because I need to tell you that I was just about to explain how this tool works, and then I proceeded to use it wrong. And so I'm making this video as an interrupted video. As you can see, I've already done the next step, which you'll see right after this. But these are blue-headed pliers, is what I call them anyways. Channel locks, name brand, different stuff like that. But these are adjustable, and they're really handy to use. And sometimes you don't use them because they have little like sharp teeth on them, and you can mar whatever you're using, but they are pretty universal and you can use them wherever you want. But I was going to explain how there's a right direction to use these and a wrong direction. So when you're tightening something, let's pretend we're tightening this nut here. I'm gonna open it up so it fits nice and big, and then grab it, and then I'm going to squeeze. Now I have it this direction, so when I grab it and when I pull, it kind of puts more, the way I understand it anyways, it puts more pressure on that nut, and so when I spin, it has less likelihood of it slipping. But if I were to take and spin it this direction and put it on there and then try to turn it this way, it would work. And sometimes it does because space allows it to better that direction, but it has more of a chance to slip. And so put it on the right direction, which I'm sure there's a way to tell, but basically the top always was on the side, and then grab it and then twist. But if I put it on this direction, I can use it to loosen, and it puts the same bind as it would as this way, as if I were tightening it, flip it around. This is the loosened direction. So anyways, with that explained, I'm sure it still made 0 sense, but it was better than the explanation I had, because I was like, you need to go this way, and then I was using it this way, and then I was like, if you tighten it this way and it goes this way, it just didn't make any sense. So anyways, back to the video. The only problem with shark bites is that they don't like to stay in their position. So as you can see, as in tighten those hoses down, they like to spin, but they're spinning the same direction, so I'm fine with that. So now I'll make sure the sink is turned off so I don't get wet in the face. I'll turn these on, but you can turn these valves on and look for leaks. And then we'll hook up the drains next, which is pretty easy. We're gonna use the old plastic and see how it goes. But let's go get that. And then also a tip is that when you have everything apart, the P-trap underneath the sink that keeps the smell from coming through the sewer gases is attached to the sink. And so if you take it out, you're gonna have sewer gas smells coming from your pipe. So just take a piece of paper towel, piece of plastic, whatever, stuff it in there. That way the gas smell doesn't come up into your house. So that's just a simple tip, because if you leave it undone, you come back the next day or middle of the night, you're gonna be like, man, that house smells terrible. So stuff it up, just like my nose. Anyways, let's go get the sink drains and put those babies on. Okay, here's the fancy sink drain piece. I just kept it all in one piece and then put in the garage. Eventually I'll probably put, like I said, a new one on. But for now, this will work. This is, I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but this is what you hook your dishwasher up to. And it has a little fluted nipple here that you can stick it on, and then it tightens down with a hose clamp. So when you bring in your discharge from your dishwasher, it goes in there and it forces it down through here. On the top, I don't know if you can see down inside, there's that little hump in there that keeps the water from spraying around. When the water comes in, instead of going back up in your sink, it forces it to go down the pipe. Not all of the old ones had that, but this one does, so that's nice. And then on the top of these, also no Teflon needed. They have a little Teflon nylon nut, whatever they call it, just sits inside of there. And then this threads up and tightens and seals that to the bottom of the sink, bottom of that. So these are a little old, so we'll see how it goes. I'm not worried about cleaning this just yet until I know it works, because I might be getting new ones. So if you see it's a little dirty, that's because it is. So take this piece out, don't want that going down the drain. And then we'll stick this in that hole there. Should be the same spot as I left it, so slide that in. Work on this one here. Put that nut all in the top so you can't see this side, you'll see the other side. This thread it by hand. You could probably actually do all of this by hand. These are a little crusty, so I might give a little extra tightness with a wrench. These plastic ones like to cross thread a little bit, so you gotta be careful, but they do just fine once you get them on there. So put them on there, and you can turn this little T-fitting to the back so you don't see the hose from the outside when you open the cabinet, and it'll be easier for that hose to clamp to. So take these, adjust them out, tighten these babies down a tiny bit. I usually just snug them down as much as I can without feeling too tight, and then I go test the sink to make sure that they're on there nice and tight. These ones haven't actually been moved, so. And then on this one I forgot to show you, but there's a little nylon washer in there as well. It's just like an acorn shape where it goes down like this, goes into here. Also no Teflon needed, so I'll see if people put Teflon on those too. It's not necessary. It's not a lot of applications in this type of plumbing that needs it. So tighten those down, and then this is fine to leave undone because the water from the sink, like I said, will bypass it with that little check thing there and go down. So we'll put the dishwasher, hook it up later. But all in all, pretty good. Now to hold the sink down, some of them require glue, but this one is just a stainless sink. And so they have little cleats, little clamps that goes up in the track, which I'll show you maybe later once I get another project, because right now it's just a temporary hookup until I get everything painted and the new cabinet doors put on. I have to make those too because those are broken, and that won't be too bad. But they have little cleats with a little screw on it. You put the screw up in the track and you tighten it down, and it pulls those little fingers up and clamps it to the countertop. And sometimes they still caulk these too, that way if you spill water over the side of your sink, it doesn't go back into your cabinet. So maybe one day we'll come back and caulk it too once we do the permanent setup. So anywho, I'm going to turn these valves on now that I'm down here and safe from water. Ta-da. And then we'll fill the sink up and do a little test and see how it goes. So make sure these are all tight. Start on one side and work your way around. Check, check. And if you didn't know what I'm meaning by P-trap earlier, this right here is called the P-trap because it's in the shape of a P right here, not because of the smell. And once you put water in the sink, it drains and it fills this level up here. That way the air coming from here can't go through here because there's water in the way. So that P-traps are made for that purpose mostly. Also, they like to catch your wedding rings when you wash them down the drain. But that's that. So let's turn the water on and see how many leaks we get, and if we actually have a sink tonight, or if we have to go get more plumbing fixture pieces. So here we go. Okay, the water is running. Now what I do is I turn the hot water on, and I do that on purpose because cold water you can't always feel through the pipe because the pipes are usually cool to the touch. But if you use hot water, as soon as it comes down the pipe, you'll be able to feel where it goes. And so this pipe will start heating up because I have the left side of the sink filling up right now. So it's coming down here and going around. And so I'm going to fix this side first to make sure it's not leaking, flip it to the other side, and then if you want to really foolproof your plumbing system, you put the little drain plugs in the bottom and let the sink fill most of the way up. And then when you pull the plug, it's going to gush all that water down here, and it'll really tell you if you have a leak or not because it adds a little bit of pressure, not very much, and then also fills the pipe up. So right now that one little faucet's not going to fill this pipe up unless there's a clog back here. So we'll let this run until we feel this is warm. This is warm already, so we should be good to go. I'm going to flip it to the other side, do the same test, and then we should get to painting this new cabinet base, and we'll have a sink.
Ours were invited us to go with them. It was nice of them when they bought the tickets. So, yeah. Anyway.
So it is a little later, 2 nights later, actually, because it's 2 days ago is when I was working on the underneath the kitchen sink. But I had a job to do and other stuff, so we just got back to it tonight, and the painting actually happened tonight. So even though it looks the same, and I'm wearing the same shirt, it's a different day. So anywho, this is what it looks like. We've got everything painted, cleaned. The caulking had dried over those last 2 days, so that was nice. And it was clear caulking, so if you see the caulking disappear in the video, it's because it goes on white, like when it's wet, and when it dries, it's clear. So that's that. I'm gonna do probably another coat of paint on here. Like I said earlier in the video, I'm going to add a 1/4 round trim here, but I'm not gonna do that until I actually add the 1/4 round around the rest of the room. So everything is hooked up. Even though those pipes are kind of old, they are fine. If they start leaking, I'll replace them then. And then I've got the service loops up in there. Don't necessarily need that big of a hose, but that's one I have, like I said. And then also, if you're wondering what in the world I was talking about when I was talking about the hot water heater and a tea, I actually meant to say dishwasher. So I probably have that in type, correcting myself, but I was meaning to say dishwasher the whole time. But it uses hot water, right? So it's like a hot water heater, but not really. So anyways, so the tea will go on the hot side, go over to the dishwasher. And we'll do that probably tomorrow and maybe make another video about that. But anyways, that's what it looks like. Nice and clean, new. Now I can make the doors and we'll be done. So it sure is nice to have a kitchen sink again. We've been staying here the last couple days and we're doing the dishes that we've been eating with in the bathroom sink, and that just doesn't work too well. Well, my wife has, so she gets to do all the fun stuff in the sink, not me, thankfully. So anywho, that's that. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to look in the description for some fun stuff, and can't wait to show you the next video. So we'll catch you later. Have a good one. God bless.